Hello, 5th graders. Welcome to lesson 1.5, 10-to-1 relationships with exponents. Let's get started. Today's objective is I can apply 10-to-1 relationship to powers of 10 and exponents by evaluating them in equations with 100% accuracy in multiple attempts. Remember that this objective needs to be typed into your digital math notebook. So pause and do that now. Today's lesson also has 2 vocabulary words. The first vocabulary word is the word base. A base is the number that is used as the repeated factor. And the second one is an exponent. An exponent is the number that tells how many times the base is used as a factor. There's an example to the side. It says, an exponent is just a little number telling us the number of selfies that the base takes. So this, for example, we would call 2 to the power of 5, and we would call it 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 5 times. You don't need to draw the example in your notebook, but you do need to write the 2 vocabulary words and their definitions in your digital math notebook. Go ahead and pause to do that now. Exponents are a really neat thing. They're a way to show multiplying by powers of 10, so multiplying by 10, 100, and 1000, all in one number called an exponent. Let's go ahead and start with the unlock the problem. Remember that you are just watching this part of the lesson. You don't need to write anything down. Expressions with repeated factors, such as 10 times 10 times 10, can be written using a base and an exponent. A base, our vocabulary word, is the number that is used as the repeated factor, and the exponent is the number that tells us how many times we use that base. So here's the example, 10 times 10 times 10. We would call this a factor of 3 tens. It has 3 factors, each one of them is 10. So 10 is our base, but our exponent is 3 because we use 10 1, 2, 3 times. Now the other really neat thing about exponents is that however many this number is and however many 1, 2, 3s there are, that means how many zeros that we have. So we know that 10 times 10 is 100 and 100 times 10 is 1,000. So we would say this is 10 to the power of 3, or the third power of 10, and we would write it with 10 when up in the little corner, a little number 3. That's an exponent. Let's look at some base 10 blocks with an exponent. If we look at 1, this one number here, it's not even a whole 10. So we would call this 10 to the power of 0. And that doesn't mean that there's none there. It means we have 0 groups of 10. So how many 1s are there in 1? Well, there's only 1. So we don't need to multiply it anymore. How many 1s are in 10? Well, if we know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, there are 10 1s in 10. So that's why we get the little 1. How many 10s are in 100? Well, let's see. If we think about how many 10s, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, that would be 10 because 10 times 10 is 100. So we have 1 10, 2 10s. So notice there's a little 2. How many 100s are in 1,000? 100, 200, 300, 400. There would be 10 of them. So we have 1, 2, 3 10s, or 10 to the power of 3. How many thousands are in 10,000? That would still be 10, because 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. So if we think about this, if we don't have the box to show it, but if I had 10 times 1,000, they want us to answer how many zeros there are, or how many times 10 it goes in here. So we can count 1, 2, 3 zeros, and we know that 1,000 is 10 to the power of 3. All right, instead of just watching me do it, now let's do it together. You have a copy of this chart in your digital math notebook. We're going to fill it out together. We have in here the standard form, how many zeros are in that number, and then how we would write this number as a power of 10. So we have here the standard form of 7,000. 7,000 has 1, 2, 3 zeros. So 3 zeros. So we would write this as 7, that's where our 7 came from, times 10 to the power of 3, because there are 3 zeros. So what if I had 800? How many zeros do I have? I have 2. And let's just worry about the exponents. So that would be 10 to the power of 2. All right, this next one says that I have 10 to the power of 5. Ooh, that means that I'm going to have 5 zeros. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then there's a 2 here in front of it. So let's stick that 2 right here. So that 2 tells us, let's go in and put our commas, that is 200,000. All right, the next number is the number 5. There's no zeros there. So we would write this as 0. And we would call this 10 to the power of 0, because there are 0 zeros. The next place is 600,000. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 zeros. So this would be 10 to the power of 5. Great job. Almost there. The next one has 10 to the power of 1. So that means that there's going to be 1 zero. 1 0 would look like this. But we don't have a 1 in front of it. We have a 3. So that would be 30. 1 0. The next part tells us that we have 4 zeros. So that means 4 is going to go in the middle. And we can go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then remember, look at this one that's out front. It's a 9. So it's going to be 90,000. Okay, the next one we're starting with our zeros. We count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 6 zeros. So we would call that 10 to the power of 6. And this last one here has an 8. So that means there are 8 zeros. So that would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then remember, we look at what this number is in front, and it is a 6. And then we go back and put in our commas. 1, 2, 3, there's a period. 1, 2, 3, there's a period. So that would be 600 million. Great job. Make sure that you have these in your digital math notebook. There are boxes for you to fill in. If you need to pause to do that now, go ahead. Time for our lesson activity. This says, write the exponent form and word form of this number. So we have 10 times 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 10. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we would put that number right here in that box. And then we would say that it's 10 to the power of, and that same number goes right here. This is also in your digital math notebook. Make sure you complete it before finishing the lesson. Great job, 5th graders. Today's lesson was a little bit tricky. If you need to go back and watch it, you are always welcome to. When you feel comfortable with this lesson, complete the exit slip to show your teacher your understanding. Great job!